pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't take him for granted, but I forgot to thank Ricky for running our technology and Andrew for getting here early and setting it up with us. Thank you, guys.
So we have we care. Who has a care? Or who does care?
He's checking those things off his red badge list.
Yes, I am. So I work for the Boy Scouts, and so that's kind of where my inspiration is going to come from. And this is titled Scouting with Bottom Line. For every 100 boys who join Scouting, 2 will become Eagle Scouts. 17 will become future Scout volunteers.
Hey, let's pay attention.
12 will have their first contact with the church. 1 will enter the clergy. 5 will earn their church award. 18 will develop a lifelong hobby. 8 will enter a vocation learned through the merit badge program. 1 will use scouting skills to save his own life. 1 will use scouting skills to save the life of another person. Rarely will 1 be brought before the juvenile court system. Scouting's alumni record is equally impressive. 85% of student council presidents were Scouts. 89% of senior class presidents were Scouts. 80% of junior class presidents were Scouts. 71% of football captains were Scouts. Scouts also account for 64% of the Air Force Academy graduates, 68% of West Point graduates, 70% of Annapolis graduates, 72% of Rhodes Scholars, 85% of FBI agents, and 26 of the first 29 astronauts. And that's just a little bit about Scouting and what it does for everybody else.
Very nice.
I know what Andrew does for a living. Hours about the Boy Scouts. So it's time to introduce our visitors here. Do we have any visiting Rotarians in the room? Are we gonna dock not for not being here today? Oh, he's still in Houston. Okay, he hasn't flown on yet. Guests of Rotarians. Gary, would you like to introduce your guests?
Yes, my number 1 son, I'm proud and honored to introduce Bears regularly, and my number 5 is
Woohoo! Yay!
You definitely need your application, Phoebe. Somebody's got to keep Gary doing his job next year. That'll be you. Do you have any other guests in the room? Dr. Hagman?
I'd like to introduce Dr. Jacob Salami, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. He's going to be joining the Rotary.
Hello, I'm excited to be here and see you all and be able to show exciting things that we're doing.
So Ahmad will be putting in an application for membership. He'll be joining our club soon. We have some Zoomers here today. Dick Stafford, you want to say hello? Or maybe not.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hello. Good to see you, Dick. Larry Annis.
Yes, good afternoon. I'd like to report I am 6 days COVID free. I am staying home for 1 more week just out of a abundance of caution, as they say. I had tested positive for 16 consecutive days, and I was sick for about 18 or 19 days. So,
Wow.
so it was no fun, but I am back to my old self, which many people will be unhappy about.
True words were never spoken.
Remember, Jake is looking forward to meeting with you. He wants to ask you some questions about the period. So whenever you're able to meet with him, that would be great. Yes, absolutely.
Could I just add something?
Is Dennis?
Hang on.
Could I add something, Bill?
Sure. Yes.
Just a quick note. The reason I'm not there today is my son tested positive on Sunday, and I was with him on Saturday. So I've been keeping a low profile this week. He's had no symptoms, and he is expecting a result from a test today. So hopefully we'll be beyond his, he has been isolating at home. So hopefully things will progress and we'll be done with this. Thank you.
Getting around, that's for sure. Dennis?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm staying home a little bit as well, recovering from COVID. I'm feeling fine. I've been negative for about a week now, but I'm just taking additional precautions. So thank you, Kathy Alameda, for all your help.
Who's
Brian
next?
Gentry.
Hi, y'all. I don't have COVID, but I'm getting ready to go on vacation, and I'm trying to make sure I don't go on vacation with COVID or have to cancel my trip. So wanted to join all of you and say hi, but I'm keeping a low profile too.
Gotcha. Harvey, are you there? We don't see you.
Hello, fellow Rotarians. I don't have COVID, but I'm just taking it easy today. Wish I was there. Have a great week.
Awesome. And Clark, rounding it out here.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I don't have COVID either, but I did get my second booster yesterday, so this afternoon's a little bit shaky. So anyways, all's good.
You got Audrey too.
Oh,
Audrey.
Audrey's here too. This is the most I've ever had on Zoom.
Unmute, Audrey. I
Sorry,
think.
I couldn't be there. I'm not muted.
Okay, I hear
sorry
you.
I couldn't be there today. I don't have COVID, and I'm trying to keep it that way and stay away from Larry Ennis.
Awesome. I got them all, right, Ricky?
You did.
All right. Well,
Thank you all.
Zoomers. We're going to do our Rotary song now. This is the end of my term, and I'm having a little bit of fun. This is second to last meeting, and so to tee up this video, I'm going to tell you, today's June 9th, and on June 9th in 1934, the character Donald Duck appeared for the very first time. And it was called The Little Wise Hen. And the video is about 5 or 6 minutes long, so it's too long to show you that right now. But in having a little bit of fun with Donald Duck and his birth of being a public figure, we're going to watch this video.
Who's got the sweetest disposition? One guess who? Who never starts an argument? Who never shows a bit of temperament? Who's never wrong but always right? Who never dreams of starting a fight? Who gets stuck with all the bad luck? No one but Donald Duck.
All right, now you guys know that I'm quackers, right? All right, it's time for a few announcements. Brad?
Okay.
Please not. Okay.
Yeah.
Randy wanted to say something as well. Do you want to do that now?
We can. We're going to do a poker tournament.
Sure, come up here, please.
Unfortunately, Mike Ashford isn't here to receive his trophy.
We have to give it up.
Use the mic.
I know this is going to be really painful to give him this tournament or this trophy and have to live with him for a year while he has it. But it's what we must do because that's what Bob kind of set up, unfortunately. We should have had we should have had an exemption. You know, everybody in the club gets it except Mike Hoffman. But anyway, I want to tell you about the numbers. We had a great event. And I really want to thank all the table sponsors. We had 23 table sponsors. We had 2 premium event sponsors and then 2 event sponsors. Last year, or the last time we did this tournament was 2019. We netted 11,500. This year we grossed 37,000 and we netted 17,863.89. Congratulations, everybody, and thank you everybody who helped make this a huge success. We had some amazing volunteers. And again, I really want to thank everybody that stepped up and sponsored this event because we couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, and I don't know how many of you know, but Jeff Williams was the prior recipient of the Rotary Cup, and Jeff actually, so he had it for like 2.5 years or so. But he actually went through the effort of waterproofing this, so you can actually drink out of it, like a standard does in hockey. So you will probably see several photos that I'll post on either our Twitter feed or on our Facebook page. I'm sure Mike will make full use of the drinking capability of the cup over the next. We're going to find out more about the and also for those of you who participated in the tournament in any way, sponsor, who showed up at dinner. Thank you very much. As Randy mentioned, by far our biggest problem profit for this event, and we're shooting for, ultimately, we think this could be a $20,000 to $25,000 a year annual event. So we're not quite there, but next year we'll keep marching forward. So thank you all.
I'd like to thank the poker committee. Randy was the chair, really Lisa was, but I mean, Randy was the chair. And then Bob Brown, Ricky, myself,
Julio.
Are your poker committee. So thanks to those folks for doing that work. The two made, go ahead.
Mario Holmes and Harry Bay. And then we had Eric Martin was the premier in AES. AES, yeah, which is the electrical fight.
So congratulations, a 50% increase, 11,000 to 17,000 is pretty incredible, the net number. Great segue. I don't have the certificate to hand you, but I already told Ricky what we were doing. So our May Rotarian of the Month is Randy Brown. So congratulations, Randy Brown.
I should put Lisa's name on it too, I think.
Okay.
If Randy were smart like G-Swag, he'd bring his wife and get a free bottle of wine.
Yeah, yeah.
As you know, the fair will be starting next week. And on the back table are some 2-for-1 tickets. I'm going to alert you that that ticket gets you nothing except the right to go online and get your ticket on your phone. We're doing no cash kind of fair. So we're adopting the rest of the thing. You show up at the front door with cash, you want to get in, you won't get in. You have to redeem cash. Cash machines will be around at the front gate, and cash machines are throughout the fairgrounds. So if somebody wants to get $100 worth of ATM card, they could stick their $100 in the machine and they get a $100 ATM card. So with that 2-for-1 ticket, you go online, digitally, you get 2 tickets for the price of one. No, it's good any day. And there's 40 of them back there. Don't hoard them.
Friendly reminder that next Thursday is Third Thursday at the Sunshine Saloon. And we hope all of you will be there. It'll be President Bill's final Third Thursday. And it's our opportunity to thank Bob Rossi for his contribution to the Progressive Dinner.
No,
See you all next Thursday.
no, it's not working.
Around, there's no meeting. We'll be at the Sunshine.
We wanted to think there's a meeting.
Just a word about the every Rotarian every year that Rotary International asks for. And we really dropped the ball on many of us this year by not contributing anything to RI Foundation.
Working back there.
So our president stepped up and fronted all the money for those of you that did not contribute anything, and he contributed $25 for each one of you, and then the foundation reimbursed him. So the foundation, Rotary Foundation, Pleasanton Rotary Foundation, needs to have your support before the end of the year, and that's only 2 more weeks. So please do what you can. Thank you.
Thank you. G-Swag's going to tell us about the convention, but first I have one more announcement, and then I'll step aside. Next week is the foundation board meeting and the club board meeting, and we will be meeting at the chamber offices. The foundation board is 2 o'clock, the club board is 3:30. This is a very important meeting to attend because Janine Henderson, who's our Spirit Run chair, will be attending both meetings, and she'll be giving us a lot of details that we need to absorb. Any folks that are interested in working in any aspect of attend either of those meetings at 2 o'clock or at 3:30 at the chamber. You're welcome to join us. Now I will give this to Gary for a few minutes.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I really had a privilege to be able to attend the International Convention in Houston, Texas this year. If anybody has a chance to go to one of the international conventions, really take an opportunity. And all of you here as Rotarians can just feel so honored and proud to be a member of this organization doing so much good internationally. The projects, the water project, wash project, there's so much need in the world, and for help that we're doing in positions that just all the courses, the training and different needs in the communities is just amazing. And so try to grab something that's your passion. And our own Dr. Dick Stafford, he went, and his impact from our club has taken Rotary International on his spirit with, I saw a t-shirt in the back, it says Rotarian at work. They crossed out the word and have at fun. So Dick, you made it internationally. They've now adopted your have fun and do good. Thank you.
Gary, you can do the international, I have you queued up for the international pictures if you want to do.
I thought you were showing them.
Well, you got to tell people what they are. I don't know what you were doing.
11,000 people at the conference. You can see opening, and that's our new president, Jennifer Jones. And this was an out of the world luncheon, so I went to the middle.
Doesn't he kind of look like W, George W there?
Still might think I didn't come back. Okay, there we are. That's your Rotarians at the club. That's my new apparel. So Paul in the center, he's the new our new next wash projects with his club. And that was our president, Meta, and the Nobel Prize winner in helping free the kids in slavery and all that human trafficking stuff that got addressed at the convention. Oh, and there was Colonel Duffy spoke at the president's, that was the out of the world luncheon. And these were pictures from space, the aurora lights. And anyway, you didn't show us any video clips.
Yeah, I know.
We had some entertainment, and so I made some 30-second clips that will show.
I tried to get that to work. I'll have to be a future meeting, Gary. Sorry about that.
If the entertainment was fun and just really awesome. So,
Thanks, Gary. That was great. So now it is time for our program. Our speaker today is Donald G. James. He worked at NASA for 35 years. His topic today is Manners Will Take You Where Brains and Dollars Won't. And the subtitle is Wisdom from Mama and 35 Years of Working at NASA. So without further ado, I welcome Donald James to the podium. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody being here to see what a guy who spent his entire career at NASA has to say about the topic of manners. I'll explain the connection. I've been a longtime president resident, about 30 years, home volunteer, and we're happy where we are. I did just come back from Malta in Italy, where I was officiating a wedding and touring. So if I start nodding off, which I doubt, just throw something at me. Bear with me. I want to start with the tale of two people. By the way, hello, Brian Gentry. He's a colleague of my wife's. Say hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
In my last position at NASA as Associate Administrator for Education, I often had to go to science fairs, and I would either judge them or I would review them. And it's kind of like I think what mayors do with ribbon cutting and things like that. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to the kids and all that stuff. On this one particular occasion, this was out in Lancaster, California. Typically what happens is students, middle school students, are kind of shy, but they will tell you about the science project, and they sit there and they won't look at you or anything like that. And, so I try to make them feel at ease and, ask questions about, their science projects. Some of them, are pretty much, the volcano type stuff. Most of them were things that I had no clue what they were talking about because it was way beyond my abilities. Then I walked up to this one booth, and there were two young boys there. And as I approached the table, they both stood up, and one of them looked me straight in the eye. He stuck his hand out and said, "Hello, Mr. James. Thank you very much for coming to our booth. And I'd be delighted to tell you about my science fair project." Well, first of all, no student had done that. Even though I have a big name tag that says Donald James on it, nobody ever called me by my name. Nobody stood up. Nobody put their hand out to shake my hand. Nobody looked me in the eyes in a very inviting way. He proceeded to talk a little bit about his project, and then he stopped talking. He said, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, No, that's great, keep going. And so he kept going, and then he asked me questions. He said, "Well, what do you think about this? How would you have approached this?" I was in awe of this kid. And I said, I think his name was Gabriel. I said, "Gabriel, hang on a second. How old are you?" And he goes, "I'm 11, sir." I'm like, "You're 11. Well, you have to be 16 to be an intern at NASA, but when you're 16, give me a call because you have a job." And then I said, "Are your parents here by any chance?" "Yes, sir, they're standing right over there." And I walked over to them. They were looking very proud of their son. And I said, "I have no idea what you did in rearing your child, but he is amazing and he will do well." Fast forward to about 2018, my wife and I are on our way to our second favorite place other than Pleasanton, which is Hawaii. And we're going through the open airport, and on the ground was a pink neck pillow that you wear, in the airplane to sleep. And it's blindness. I figured somebody lost it, so I picked it up. I went to the gate agent inside the terminal, and I said, "I found this neck pillow. You have a lost and found. I can take it." He goes, "Oh yeah, just take it to the information booth in the terminal and they'll take it and found it." So I'm walking up to the information booth. It's a round circular kiosk, and behind the kiosk was a young man. I would anywhere between 16 and 18. He had Apple earbuds in his ear that were connected by wire to what I assume was his phone. He was looking down at it. So I walked right up to the desk to get his attention. And he took one earbud out and he looked at me like this. And I think he said something like, "Yes." And I said, "I was advised to bring this to you because somebody dropped it and this is the lost and found." And he goes, "Okay." And he took it, put his earbuds back, and proceeded to put his head down into what he was looking at. Gabriel passed his interview with me, even though I wasn't interviewing him. The second kid flunked his interview, even though I wasn't interviewing him. So one of the things that I tell students all the time, I like to start with the story of the contrast is, first of all, you never know who you're going to be talking to. It just so happened that I'm a person at this stage of my life and career where I have influence and I can help people. And if they're willing to engage me and talk to me and show some sense of curiosity about who I am, and they have some sense of presence and authenticity about them, I want to help them. Gabriel gave me every chance in the world to help him, the kid at the Oakland airport being 0. Now, I don't know their story. I don't know what their history is, but all I know is that the second kid had tried something like, "Oh, thank you very much for bringing this. Where are you going today?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to Hawaii." "Oh, wow, that's really cool. Well, what do you do?" I said, "Oh, I work for NASA." "You work for NASA?" "Oh, I love it. This happens a lot," right? And then he may be somebody with some kind of ambition, and he's like, "I really want to be able to study that. I'm not sure what to do." And I said, "Well, here's my card. I can tell you how you can get to where you want to go." But the starting place is not how smart you are. The The starting place is not how rich you are, the starting place is your manners, and that's my main message. When I retired from the space agency in 2017, I worked there for 35 years. The summer after I retired, the chief scientist at NASA asked me to speak to our crop of student interns. I have been responsible for the NASA student interns for most of my career. Happy to do so. At the end of the talk, during the question and answer stage, a young man said, if I could go back in time to when I was an intern, because I was an intern, knowing what I know now, what would you advise yourself? I said, that's a great question. I said, 3 things. I said, first thing, I would advise young Donald, say yes more to opportunities that will come your way. I think in hindsight, I was afraid, I wasn't sure I could do certain things. I didn't necessarily trust myself as much. So a lot of times when opportunities came my way, I said, oh, no, I'm fine. I'll just be comfortable and all that stuff. I said, I would say yes more. Second thing I said is, I would advise young Donald to heed the advice that his mother taught him. She taught me and my brother, which is the title of the book that I wrote, Manners Will Take You Where Brains and Money Won't. My mother was very big on that. She was a Southern gal raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and she's an English teacher, so she's very snickety about speaking, grammar, and how you interact with your peers in your world. And upon reflection, I realized, and my brother and I realized, that that was pretty much how it is that we got to be as successful as we were. Now, you have to be able to do your job, right? NASA's never going to hire you to fly the spaceship if you don't want to fly a spaceship. But if you do have that, you show up late for the interview, you make some excuses, things like that, you probably aren't going to go anywhere. My brother is an airline pilot. He's a captain with American Airlines, flies Dreamliners, and that's a very regulated industry. He knows people who did not get jobs because of their manner. Not because they weren't good pilots, they could fly. And you got to fly the airplane. Like I said, you got to be able to do that just to get in the door. But they didn't get the job. Why? Because of bad manners. Now, they're not going to say bad manners is why you didn't get the job. People who got terminated or reassigned at NASA aren't going to say, well, you know, Donald, your manners is, that's not what the words are going to be on the piece of paper. It's going to be something else. You know, usually it's something like, oh, you're not really a good fit. So after about a month after that talk that I gave, our mother unexpectedly passed away, and so I was trying to figure out how I could honor her life. And one of the things that I realized when I was going through her things is that she had these sayings. My mother loved to collect sayings, the kind of things you see on these posters, you know, like inspiration, things like that. She had her 8 cardinal rules of life. These are things that she didn't invent, but she thought that was very important. In fact, one of the swag items I brought, I made some bookmarkers over there, and each one has one of her rules, right? You know, her life. And so I decided that I was going to honor her and also honor my commitment and passion to students and their future careers by giving a longer answer to that young man's question. And that became the book that I wrote, Manners Will Take You Where Brains and Money Won't. So here's some of the key takeaways, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about some of these things. First of all, to the parents, if you're a parent or a grandparent, I tell these parents all the time, please, I appreciate when people buy the book and they want to share it for graduation presents, and it's really great, but please be careful about giving a book to your child or your grandchild. Say, here, you ought to read this, because chances are they probably aren't going to do it, right? What do you read manners? I had a friend of mine who told me that his children, he sent the book to his children that I had autographed, and they called, Dad, what are you trying to, you think we have bad manners? They didn't realize that I was the author of the book, and they actually knew who I was, unless they figured that out. They, oh, okay, that's just what I'm talking. So I said, look, you know, don't say they need it. I think we actually probably need it more than the kids do, but I did write this for early career professionals and students because I saw in my 35 years, even at a place like NASA, where manners made a difference. I'm here to tell you that there are astronauts who were selected but never flew in space because of their manners. I'm here to tell you that there are people who lost their jobs. And in NASA, we don't really totally get rid of you. We send you to NASA jail. NASA jail is a place that no one's ever heard of in the country, and they just reassign you there, right? Well, we think you might do well over there, right? And so that's what happens. So they're not going to tell you your manners, but I know at the essence it really is, because they're smart people. As I see it, manners is more than just the typical please and thank you and yes sir, yes ma'am, and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's politeness, and I think that's important, having respect. The things that you talk about, the four-way test for the board, those are important things. I'm talking about how you show up in the world. I'm talking about your personality. I'm talking about your listening skills and your talking skills, which includes your physical presence. And I've seen this happen in organizations. I've both done some things that I regret about how I showed up in the world and things that I'm very proud of. But these things make a difference. And don't you know, people, you say, God, I don't know what it is about Bob. He just gets on my nerves. Or something like that. Well, that's a manners thing, right? And probably nobody told Bob that, Bob best thing. I don't know if you Bob in here. But I'm talking about you.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah. And so sometimes you need people to tell you kind of how it is. It's like my dad. My dad was a diplomat, and he was very diplomatic. But one day, the only time I remember my father disciplining me, we happened to be in Greece, and we had to go buy some food luggage because the airline chewed it all up. And for some reason, I thought I knew everything at 11 or 12. I had a lot to say to the people in the store. And my father took me outside the store and said, son, you've got a big mouth. You've got to learn how to control it. Otherwise, you're going to have trouble. Now, I didn't particularly appreciate it at the time, but I never forgot it. So here's the deal. I still have a big mouth, but I know better. I know better. And I know how to use it, and I know when not to use it. So half the battle is understanding what it is about your manner that could be impactful in your life and in your future. I tell students that being smart isn't good enough. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people in my career. Many of them come in, they got 8.8 GPAs, and they did this and honors this and honors that and all that stuff. And I would ask them a simple question about something, and then I get deer in the headlights because they couldn't think. Oh, I didn't know I was going to do a test. I thought this was going to be about rockets. And I can tell you about this. I would ask them about all that. Why? Because at NASA, we're always dealing with issues that aren't going to be on the test. Apollo 13 wasn't on the test. The Challenger wasn't on the test. We didn't know what was going to happen. How do you think through these things? How do you interact with people? What do you happen if you're in a group of people? You've got one person with a strong personality that's right. This is the right way of doing it. I know this. I went to MIT and all this kind of stuff. It turns out we lead you down an alley with blind and wrong. That's a manners problem. Now, I mentioned earlier about interviewing because when I talk to students, I said, look, you're going to be interviewing a lot in your future, trust me. And I learned a lot about interviewing in my life, both sides of the table. Here's one thing I want to tell you. You are always interviewing. Gabriel was interviewing, and that kid in the Oakland airport was interviewing. They didn't know. I didn't know I was interviewing them the way I was. We're interviewing each other right now. Trying to figure out who you talking about manners and why I can not make it. It's not. I'm looking at you guys thinking, oh, this guy's got a cool people. We do this, It's not like it's for a job, right? But sometimes it's for a possibility of something. Who do you want to help? Who do you want to support? People you feel connected to, people you feel that you can relate to, things like that. So I suggest to students, pay attention to your manner and how you interview. I have a young man right now who's interviewing next Tuesday for a job back in Washington, D.C., and he's written me a lot asking for my advice. And much of what I tell him is, this, look, you need to be yourself, but not too much of yourself, right? And think about the kinds of questions you're going to be asked. Make sure you're not offering things that are irrelevant. What do you mean by that? So let me give you an example. I had a young woman who was interviewing me, and she came into the room. For purposes of this story, the fact that she was Caucasian and I'm Black was relevant because somehow in the course of the interview, she said something like, well, my boyfriend, he's Black and he likes to say the other. And I sat there thinking, like, I could care less. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? So it was a gratuitous offering. And I know what she was trying to do. See, when we meet people, we try to find a connection. We try to find, what do we have in common? She probably thought, okay, well, he's Black. So maybe if I tell him my boyfriend's Black, he'll feel like, I'm passing the law. Right? I don't really care. I gotta patronize, right? Oh, well, some of my best friends are Black. Nonverbal communication. I talked to students a lot about the importance of nonverbal communication. I enjoy studying a lot of the work the FBI does on that because that's how they find out liars. And I read things by a guy named Joe Navarro. He has this kind of expert in this area. One of the things I learned from Joe was you got to be careful about assuming what you think is true is really true, because sometimes body language doesn't necessarily reveal what's actually happening, right? So pay attention to that. I got really good at NASA walking into a meeting and realized in a minute that something was wrong. I walked into a meeting once, the administrator, I think he kind of tricked me. We were at a school of interviewers. Hey, Don, why don't you come by and chat about something? Sure, do that, sir. General, I come into the meeting and there's like 8 people in the meeting. Faces were like this. I knew I was in trouble. I didn't know what it was. I knew I was in trouble. So I immediately kicked in okay, I'm not going to be defensive. I'm going to try to find out what's going on. And the worst thing you could do at NASA is to BS your way with that answer, because they're better BSs than you are. Right? So I had to sit there, and I realized that what happened was it was something about money. All meetings are about money. It's about money. And they asked me about some data, which I had never seen before. And later I went and talked to my CFO, and I said, what is this? He goes, oh, that's not how we organize the information. I said, well, that's how they organize the information. They just jam me up about this. But I couldn't throw him under the bus because I was the leader. I had to take it. So, paying attention to body language can give you clues so you don't, end up stepping in it. All right. I have a chapter in the book about teams, the importance of teams. And team is maybe not the best term, but it's really about having different types of people in your life that you trust, that depending on what you're up to, can tell it to you straight. This is not like your friend saying, oh, it's not you, it's him. This is the person saying, it's you. You're the problem. Perhaps maybe risking their relationship with you because they told you the truth. And I've had that happen before. So it's important to be careful about who you bring into your world. And I tell this to students all the time because not everybody is worthy of being on your team, but most of my professional life, I have a team. My very first day at my new job at NASA in Washington, D.C., this is a senior executive. It's just one step below a political plane position. And by the way, the rules are different. You're kind of an at-will person, so they don't have to have a real good reason to send you to NASA jail. They just need to like you and they can do it. So the first thing I did when I went to see my old friend Dwayne, I've known forever. First day on the job, and I said, Dwayne, what do I have to do to stay out of the doghouse? He goes, God, good to see you. What are you talking about the doghouse? He goes, well, you know, for the job. I go, what job? He didn't even know that I had this new job. I go, you can't be kidding me. I said, no, Dwayne, didn't you get the memo? No, I didn't. I said, but how do I stay out of trouble? He goes, well, you got to talk to these 6 people, especially this person and this person. They'll tell you what the real deal is. Right? You got to know what the deal is, what's going on. You know, who's got influence, who doesn't. I'm really good at with my intelligence operatives in an organization. I also talk about the skill of rapport. It turns out, in some of the reading that I have done, rapport is probably the most effective skill that leaders have. They're really good at dealing with the board members at one level and the mailroom clerks at another level. They don't really change. It's not like, you know, they go down to the mail room and they say, hey, Kate Possible thing, what's going on, bro? So you go up to the board and say, hey, Joe, how's it going? You know, like, right? There's an authenticity about their connection. You probably met many, you probably are some of these people who have rapport skills. And so I encourage them to do that. I actually have a handout, a lot of the reading that I had done, and you're welcome to take that. So I'm going to close, and then I want to ask questions with this story. This happened about 2 years into my last position. Now remember, I'm a big man on campus. I work for the man who worked for the President of the United States, right? I'm one step away from the White House. I often had to go to the White House and do different things. And important job, senior executive. And I'm sitting at my desk, and I get an email from my wife, who rarely emails me during work. An email said, what's this? I'm my security-minded self. I don't know if I should open this up, anything like that, but I decided, well, I think this one, I opened it up. Clicked on this link. My jaw was on the desk because it was a link to some weird website. It's called Cheater Report. It was a website that called out people who cheat on their wives and families and do all these nasty things. I'm looking at pictures of myself and reading about information that some of it's true, but a lot of it's like, what? I was in shock. And then I remembered my high school physics. Oh no, electrons move fast. So if this was on a website, that means it could be anywhere in the world right now. Pick up the phone and I called the administrative secretary and I said, I need to speak to the administrator right now. He said, he's in. So I went up there. Have you ever been to NASA headquarters, the 9th floor, we call top floor, long blue, very distinguished, all kinds of important people go there. And I'm having to go up there and tell the NASA administrator that there's something called Cheater Report that's got this stuff. And I'm praying that he believes when I tell him that it is not true. Because I'm telling you, at my level, if somebody reported this, right, NASA officials accused of misconduct, blah, 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 you know, personnel, they don't comment on personnel. All it takes is for somebody in the White House to look at this and pick up the phone and say, Charlie, you know what, we really can't have our senior leader, you know, acting like this. You know, I appreciate it if you would make sure that reminded of that, do something about it. That's code word for you're going to NASA jail, buddy. And I'll end up in Wallace, Virginia somewhere. Bugs this big. Charlie believed me, and the deputy administrator David Newman believed me, and I know that why they believe me is because my reputation preceded me. The audio didn't match the video. My manners saved my job. I know that. And at certain levels, things like this stuff happen, and you can't do anything about it. I talked to the security people and they said, not even the NSA can figure out who did this stuff. I said, I really doubt that, but okay. And they laughed. They thought it was funny. I said, it is not funny. I had to call my family and tell them about this. I had to call a staff meeting and tell them about this. And what saved me is that my family and my staff knew that who I was as a person didn't match what was being said on this website. Now, if I had given them reasons to think, well, maybe there's smoke and there's fire. You gotta remember the time this is happening, the whole Bill Cosby thing was happening. Remember that? The whole Me Too thing was exploding. You know, I was a part of that. Yeah, well, a lot of smoke there, Bill. I'm not sure. I mean, how long are you going to be making up this story? Right now, I'm on the other side of it. Like, who's going to believe me? And why did they believe me? So I often tell students, this is why I think you need to pay attention to the skill of your manners, because it could save you one day from embarrassment and maybe even going to massive jail. I have a few more minutes left, but I really want to hear your questions. I can talk about NASA stuff, more manner stuff. That's my message. Yes, sir.
I mean, obviously, your parents did an excellent job in raising you.
Thank you.
I'm curious, how did you translate that to your children? I mean, what kinds of things did you, what kind of coaching, what kind of examples?
Yeah.
How exactly did you?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
How did I translate to my children? I have two children, 29 and 26. It really is true that you have to be a role model. What amazes me now when I watch my kids, I'm very proud of my kids. They're both very amazing children, is to see how they give back to me what I have given to them in their behavior. They're very well-mannered people. If you give either one of my children a gift, you will get a handwritten thank you note. They just do that. They just do that. When they talk to you, they will look you in the eye and they'll be curious about it. Because I was curious about people. They watch me be curious about people. I'm just fascinated by people. My dad was taught me that. We would travel. I remember my dad was a diplomat. We travel around a lot. We would just hang out in the airport and say, hey, see that couple over there? Yeah. What do you think their story is? We just make up a story about it. He was teaching me the power of observation. And we had no idea whether we were right. Now we were just stuck. We were making things up. But he was like, pay attention. Look, what do you see? Well, I think that's a businessman. How do you know? Well, by himself and got a briefcase. What kind of business? Maybe he's a lawyer. We just play this game. So we would do that with our kids. So this is what I suggest to parents. You know, my generation is refrain from trying to lecture your kids and talk to them and tell them you ought to be this way, because the truth is what they're going to pay attention to you is what they see. Am I right? Thank you. That's right. Get what your daddy tells you. Watch. See what he does. Right? If he says, don't use your cell phone at the table, and you sit there, I just give him one thing, and close his deal. Oh, I never take my cell phone in any house of worship. Amen. Look, God wants me to show him. Yes.
How do manners or the expectation of manners vary by culture or even by region?
Yeah, that's probably the subject of my next book, which I'm not even sure I'm going to do, but I've had the privilege, you know, the question was how do manners vary by culture and even different regions in the United States? Well, you know, my mother was from the South and I had family there, so they have a different way of showing up and all of that. But I do notice that there's a distinction between acting with good manners and authentically having it. And here's the difference. I went to Atlanta once on a business trip, and the young man that greeted me at the hotel suggested, oh, hello, sir, how are you doing? And welcome. He had a bit of an accent. He just went on and on. And by the time we got to the check-in place, my thought was, I bet that's not how he is at home. He was acting, you know, and I appreciated his communication and respect, but I felt that it wasn't genuine. Like it wasn't really who he was. He was trained to do that. Now, at some point, you have to do your training, But I am advocating that work is still a point where it just becomes a part of who you are, right? It's just your nature, not something that you have to do, right? It's just, I mean, I've seen that in interviews. See, I've interviewed kids that I can tell they follow the script, you know, that they do everything right, and I appreciate that they did all that. But there was something about them, and I give them some slack because, you know, they're new and they're young and they're just trying to learn all that stuff. But it's not, didn't feel that natural. So in different cultures, and I've talked to people in different cultures, I find that with some differences, some of the foundational things I think are still common, but I'm not really sure about that. And this is the point to just say, you know, the stuff that I wrote on is not a work of scholarship. Right? I didn't, you know, do a double-blind research study. I did a lot of reading, and it's my experience. I did a lot of training in NASA and stuff my mother taught me. So I don't really know, but I have interviewed students from different cultures and asked them these questions. I've even had people wanting to translate the book is being translated in Chinese right now because somebody probably don't do that. It'll be interesting to see. Great question. Any other questions? I think I have a couple more minutes, but I read my time. I will say I have swag. I brought bookmarkers for everybody, and I have copies of some of kind of my summary of what I said, and I also have my book. Interesting. I guess so.
Just a testimonial. After seeing your book and hearing you, I gave a book to each of my 4 grandsons and a couple of the others. And I can tell you that the oldest one who just graduated from college got something out of it.
Oh, thank you for that.
And
I appreciate that.
would you quickly read Mama's 8 rules?
I don't have a memorized. Well, I know one of them is what other people think of you is none of your business. Time heals almost everything, give it time. You know, and then something I think came out of Dr. Seuss, you know, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. You know, I find that hard. My trip recently, I was officiating a wedding, and it was just a profound experience. And I had a very difficult time thinking about the fact that it just happened. I was sad, and it did. But it's important to do that. All 8 of them are in there, and I think there's some good things to
That's fine. And the only comment I have is, you know, as being a boomer, there's a lot more young people that just don't understand good manners and eye contact and shaking your hand. And I don't know if, I always thought it could be something that should be offered in education. And when kids are younger, and we have our superintendent here, maybe there is a program. I don't know, but because a lot of parents don't know it either.
Yeah.
And so they don't know to teach it. So I really just appreciated your comments today.
Well, yes, sir.
A lot of your talking is just about interacting and communicating face to face with people. Young people tend to get behind the screen or a computer, and your comments in terms of how that's affecting people's manners.
So my message to students is, look, maybe at some point in our life that will be so normal we don't think about it. But I suggest that, particularly when you're working in an intergenerational environment, is to just be open to the possibility that people that you're dealing with may find that offensive. They find it, you know, not right. I can tell you when I talk on the telephone, even if I sit down and on the phone, my wife, she's doing 5 other things at the same time. Now, the conversation probably just affected. I don't do that. And I suggest you might want to think about doing that. I know my brother just came back from a big pilot convention, and he texted me and he said there was a young man, 26-year-old young pilot at his table, and the kid was texting while they were talking. My brother called him out and said, "Put your phone down and talk to me." And he did. You know, my brother was 2 years out of retirement, so he didn't take an investment anybody. But it's you know, is what's on the phone at that moment more important than our interaction? What could I miss by that? we know from the neuroscientists that we really don't multitask, and we do two things at the same time. We think we do, but we're actually switching at millisecond time, so you miss things. But also for me, it's like, I feel like it's about giving. My purpose in life really is giving. A lot of it is giving to myself as well as giving to others. And I talk about giving attention rather than pay attention to somebody. Not pay attention. So that's not a transaction that I do. It's a gift. It's a gift. Give me your attention as a gift to me from you, right? I don't take a break. I give myself. All right, sir.
Really quick,
I'm gonna let this, you gotta tell me, I'll talk forever, so tell me to shut up, I will.
my foundational belief about manners is that people who either were brought up this way or figured it out somehow, that are self-focused versus other people focused. And the self-focused people seem to have little to no manners, and people that are outward focused and concerned about others, have an awareness outside themselves, are the ones that typically have pretty good manners and develop good manners. I was just wondering your thought about that.
I think human nature and the research on that suggests that we enjoy and appreciate when other people are genuinely, without condition, interested in who we are as a person. You know, usually when I meet somebody, I say, tell me something about yourself. When I talk to kids, the first thing I think, look, I want you to tell me your name. I'm not really great at names, I'll try to remember, but here's what I will remember. Tell me what your superpower is. That's what I ask them. And they have answers. So how can you, and just remember, giving also means to yourself. So it's not just, you're just Pollyanna to your thing. You have to take care of your body, you have to take care of your own soul, you take care of your needs. I think you can do it in a way that's not exclusive of other people. How do we embrace people? This is the I of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is the I part, right? How do we include? And for me, it's about how do I include another person so I can improve my empathy about that person. I learned a lot about empathy in the last few years. And I realized people have stories that, when I know the story, then it makes a big difference. Yes.
Observation. We're on a recent motorcycle trip with Texas Johnson going on about 7 days. We left Pleasanton, went up into eastern or western Nevada and eastern Nevada and up into Utah. And making stops in small towns, small gas stations, all these kinds of things. There's 50 or 16 old guys. And I was one of the youngest. But as we went into everywhere, you see the difference of just as we traveled out of California. The night before I got used to food for my bike, the auto parts store. And literally, while the transaction was happening, the guy earbuds in his phone, and he's working on his phone. And as I'm waiting for the credit card thing, he goes back to work on his phone. And then as that transaction, I could see the transaction, and he's still on his phone. He's just kind of like working it through, never really acknowledging that come out.
Yeah.
But everywhere we went, these little towns, they all had this separate check problem, all that kind of stuff. Not one person, they were friendly, kind, generous, helpful. How can we accommodate you? How can we, like it felt odd to me. It felt so weird because I think in our own environment, we just don't get that anymore. I don't know. It feels oblivious. Everyone's oblivious. The cards are oblivious. They're just oblivious. We just can't share those manners or Facebook. We all grew up with those people in this room that our mothers and both feeded into us. And we still remember and we track the kids. But it is a regional thing. It is something going on in different areas of we were talking about earlier, that how to different parts of the state. We all know we go to the South and get that yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no. We know we get that. We don't get that in Ohio. I don't know that we do, or we get it the same way.
Yeah. I try not to be overly judgmental about that. I just try to base my interactions, individuals, but also remember that I can only control myself, and if I show up in a way that I think is appropriate and good, maybe I can model that behavior and then suggest through my speaking and writing. So anyway, I hope this made a difference for you. I appreciate it.
So he'll be in the back if you want to have some further conversation. We went a little bit over today, but what a fascinating subject. Mr. James, thank you for visiting us and presenting. It's been great. Kathy's going to try to give away some money right now.
Okay, the first one, last four digits are 1524. 1524, Mr. Joe Preston. Go, Joe. Yeah, and he did not get it. Okay, no cheers. Come on, everybody cheer. 1531 is the next one. 1531. Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And with that, we will adjourn. We're a couple minutes over, but it's a great meeting. Thank you.